Hi, this is Matt from tracymac.co.uk and for unboxings.com. Here I have the Acer DX900, which is actually one of the first, if not the first, dual SIM smartphones to be sold here in the UK, or certainly to be sold officially here in the UK. So just thought we'd do a quick unbox for you before we head over to do our full review. The box design is fairly slick. We can move the outer cover and open her up. You can see the handsets right on top. Take a look at that in just a second. Have a look at the rest of the box design and see what's inside. So we have quite a few accessories in here by the looks of it. First of all, we have a battery which is fairly large. So I'll just take that out of the packet. It is actually a 1530 mAh battery. And we have a sync and charge cable, which is a standard USB to mini USB sync and charge. A set of headphones. It's actually a wired headset, in fact. It's a 2.5mm 4-pole jack on one end, which is reasonably standard. You can pretty easily get hold of an adapter if you want to use your own headphones with that. Have an inline microphone with push button volume control. Obviously a little slot there, a little hole for the microphone. On the other end we have pretty standard looking headphones. Can't really comment on those, but they seem kind of okay. We have a UK plug, a spare telescopic stylus, then we have a pouch, just unpack, and it is a fairly reasonable looking soft padded pouch, no belt loop or anything like that. It is just purely a pouch to keep the phone tidy and scratch free. Then we have the mains charger, which is a pretty standard mini USB style charger. And then finally we've got a series of CD-ROMs, a screen protector, getting started guide and quick reference guide. We have a warranty card, and then we have a declaration of conformity card. So looking over at the handset itself, on the front we have a 2.8-inch diagonal VGA display, so it's 480 by 640. And if we just peel off the front protector there, we have a forward-facing VGA camera for video conferencing. Below that we have phone keys for send and end of the call, and then we have the D-pad up, down, left, right, and push button in the centre. Completely flat on the front, and that is a fairly generous size display. On the back we have a 3-megapixel autofocus camera with a mirror for taking self-portraits and a flash. Then we have 2 speaker grills over what looks to be in actual fact 1 loudspeaker, but 2 grills, presumably to make it sound that little bit louder. Dedicated camera button, a micro SD card slot with a cover, which supports up to 8 gig of memory according to the specification. Power button. Then we have nothing really to speak of on the top, apart from it's telling us that we have GPS, which this DX900 does have a built-in Surfstar 3 GPS chipset. Up-down volume control rocker there. There's a soft key below, which presumably can either be customised or used through the menus. Then we have your headphone socket, which as I say is a 2.5mm 4-pole jack. On the bottom we have standard USB style connector there for your sync and charge, and then we have the stylus, which is actually quite tight in there, and it is telescopic, reasonable size. It is telescopic, which is a bit of a shame because you probably could have fit a full size in there, but say that's quite rigid and quite firm in there, so it probably won't drop out. Battery cover slips off like so, and then we can see our dual SIM card slots there. So obviously you can use an O2 and an Orange, and a T-Mobile and an Orange, or whatever. Pretty much any combination apparently works. Battery pops in like so, and the cover slips back on, and we'll just power that up. Okay, and then while that's powering up, just run through the rest of the specification. Obviously we've got touchscreen and Windows Mobile 6.1 Professional. There's a 533 MHz processor. We've got 256 meg of ROM and 128 meg of RAM, which isn't bad. We've We're quad band for GSM, so we're pretty much going to work in any country. And we also tri-band for UMTS, again, so it's going to work in pretty much any country. Support Bluetooth 2 with EDR. We've got Wi-Fi 802.11b and G. As I mentioned, we do have built-in GPS, which is a Surfstar 3 chipset. We also have satellite data update in the form of a GPS. And let's just tap the screen to set up our alignment. So as you can see here, we're actually presented with a list of the applications that it wishes to install. For the moment, I'm going to install none of them for quickness, but as we can see on here, there is actually a location SMS, satellite data update, easy keyboard, and so on. I'm not going to install any of them. I'm going to pretty much skip past that, do a minimal installation for quickness. And even though I've actually chosen not to install any of the add-ons or the extras, it's still going to install 17 customized items. And while it's doing that, let's just carry on with the rest of the specification. As I've already mentioned, there is a 3 megapixel autofocus camera on the back. We do support also a composite TV output. There's no cable included for this, and I'm assuming that it will be via that mini USB style connector rather than through obviously the headphone connector. So I can't really comment on that, but it is supported in the specification, and it does say that it does do composite TV output. In terms of size, 106mm from top to bottom, 60mm wide and 17mm thick, and we're only 147 grams, which isn't particularly heavy. It doesn't feel particularly heavy in your hand, and I think it's a fairly stylish looking handset. Okay, so everything's finally installed, and obviously for those of you that are keeping track, I have actually stopped and started the recording here because it has taken about 7 or 8 minutes to install all the customized apps and everything else. So here we have the custom home screen. Those of you that have seen more of our videos and that are familiar with the Eaton Glowfish devices will obviously see the similarity here. Up the top we can see that there are 2 SIM cards mentioned, so it's telling me that neither of my SIM cards are installed, obviously. It says 1 no SIM up here, 2 no SIM obviously up here, so they're obviously telling us that we don't have both SIM cards, and I assume that at this point if there were SIM cards it would tell us what our reception was, signal strength and so on those 2 SIMs. Probably a battery meter up the top here. We have weather, and we can choose our location and city. Cancel that for now. And go back to phone. We've got our settings here for, this is actually for the different ring profiles and everything else. We'll just stick it in normal and so on. Have calendar below that. So if we actually come out of here, we go back into the pretty much more standard Windows 6.1 setup. Again, it's telling us that we have no SIM, our Wi-Fi is off, and so on. And even actually up on the toolbar here, it's telling us that our SIM card status. If I just pop into the start menu, I'll have a quick look into programs. We have a GPS program built in, so we can actually view the GPS. Although there's not any sat-nav software installed per se, we can actually still see what the GPS status is. We've got multimedia, phone settings, SPB mobile shell, which we've already obviously seen, utilities and comm manager. The icons are custom, they aren't standard Windows mobile icons, but they are actually quite nice, unlike some other sort of operators and manufacturers that change their icons. These are actually fairly pretty. If we scroll down, we have the SPB menu, Windows Media Player, Windows Live as we would expect, Messenger and File Manager, File Explorer rather. All pretty standard stuff. The only things obviously out of the ordinary are the SPB menu and the GPS stuff itself. Pretty standard games, nothing exciting there. If we come out of here and we go into settings, we've got phone and phone 2 settings there, which obviously you won't have seen on any other handset. And in system, we've got backlight gravity sensor, which obviously is like the G sensor we have on, say, the Diamond or so on. Regional settings, our mobile shell settings, system information, which we can just pop into, and we can actually see things like CPU, system, memory, and so on. And then we have under connections, Again, all fairly standard stuff. We've got Wi-Fi, comm manager, Bluetooth and so on. Comm manager, pop into there. And it is fairly similar, or a similar idea to that of the Diamond or HTC's sort of comm manager, where it's been sort of prettified slightly, so you can turn the phone on and off for both SIM cards there, as you can see. Bluetooth on and off, Wi-Fi settings, data connection and flight mode. So they're nice buttons that nice chunky buttons that you could use your finger with rather than the stylus, which is quite nice. And again, we have this nice custom battery meter on the taskbar or toolbar at the top there, which is quite cool. So we're going to be reviewing the Acer DX900 over the next couple of weeks. A review will be online, and hopefully we'll be able to talk to you a bit more about the dual SIM support in a bit more detail. So that review will be online on tracyandmatt.co.uk over the next couple of weeks. If you like unboxing videos and you want to see some more, there are hundreds for you to have a look at on unboxings.com.